You know,
How would you respond to those criticisms?
I understand them. I really do. It's something that I don't think that I will ever completely overcome this. Should people be suspicious of me? Absolutely.
All right, here we go. Okay, listen. I know you guys are extremely curious on why I am bringing up this Victor Conte association with Terence Bud Crawford right before his biggest fight ever against Saul Canelo Alvarez, one of the biggest fights in boxing history. Why am I talking about this? What's my motive? And am I attacking Bud Crawford? What am I doing here? So in this video, I'm going to explain that, number one. Number two, there are very great questions you guys are having about why speak on this so intensely, but you're not talking about those fighters who actually popped. Because let's keep it real, Terence Bud Crawford is a clean fighter. He has never popped. Devin Haney, clean fighter, never popped. Caleb Plant, clean fighter, never popped. Clarissa Shields, clean fighter, never popped. All associated with Victor Conte. So why talk about this, but not talk about those who actually popped? So I'm going to talk about that. And third, we have to talk about the dynamic fight last night, Regis Prograis versus JoJo Diaz in the Zone War Room. We in the Zone War Room. Okay, so let's get started. Why bring up Terence Bud Crawford? Why talk about this right now and his association with Victor Conte and that obvious typo in the VADA letter? Here's why. Because Terence Bud Crawford is going to attempt to do something that is so incredible, so magnificent, so amazing as a fighter and for his legacy, in trying to beat Canelo Alvarez, the 168-pound undisputed champion. My fear is if he does that, if he accomplishes that, if he is able to succeed in accomplishing such a magnificent goal, people will immediately discredit Terence Bud Crawford and his victory, calling him a drug cheat because of his association with Victor Conte. And I don't want that. Here's what I know to be a fact. Being associated with Victor Conte is a horrible PR move.
Well, when I see, as an example, let's just say a husband would very much like to work with me, but the wife says, listen, you need to not associate with this guy because you don't want this taint upon you.
I guess that makes me the wife then. I guess that makes me the wife then, all right? I am media, and just like every other sport media, I am media of boxing, and I tend to have the same questions they have.
That the media questions why the athlete would trust me, why the athlete would work with me.
And this is because I do not want Terence Bud Crawford's great legacy to have a dark cloud over it, which is why I think his association with Victor Conte needs to be brought up in the forefront because people have too many damn questions. And listen, if people are going to respond this way because Victor Conte released the VADA testing with a typo, if they're gonna react like this over a typo, how you think people are going to react if Terence Bud Crawford whips Canelo Alvarez's ass? They're gonna say he's surely a cheat. He whipped Canelo's, and that is impossible, coming from ultimately lightweight all the way up to 168 to beat Canelo Alvarez. And that is sickening to me. So I want to get to the forefront. And listen, this has happened before to Victor Conte in other sports, like track and field.
Others that are willing to be open about it, and some choose to work with me, but have this be kept just between us. And there are those that have been threatened or given opportunities. Dwayne Chambers is an example where they basically demanded that he come forward publicly and announce that he had terminated his relationship with me.
Which brings up a ton of questions. Just what he said right there brings up a ton of questions. What do you mean about, that athlete's involvement with you? What involvement? Is it just snack? If it's just snack, I could get it from Amazon. I don't have to be involved with it. Working with Victor, working with him how?
and some choose to work with me, but have this be kept just between us.
If you're just a sponsor, I go to Amazon, I get the snack, and then I hold up the product and I say, Snack did this. What involvement past that? Working with you, how? How are you This is what I'm saying. Victor Conte says things and he does things that just demoralizes the legacy of athletes. He is horrible for your PR. He is horrific for your PR. Because here's the thing. Victor Conte, his clear and his cream and all that shit never popped. The reason why Balco was taken down is because it was a tip from a track trainer. He was a trainer for sprinters named Trevor Graham who tipped off the investigators, which caused the whole investigation and the scandal and the whole Balco thing, ultimately sending Victor Conte to jail. But his product never popped. So that is scary as shit, man. And if you have a 6 billionth of a gram of a brain rolling around your head, you can't help but to question his involvement with VADA.
I don't like his association with VADA. I think that's a terrible look.
He consulted VADA. He helped put VADA together by, bringing in certain people who will work well together. He has an involvement with the testing. Listen, man, it's like if there was a babysitter who was busted for poisoning children, and then that babysitter tries to start a daycare center, and every other town is not allowing it, rightfully so, but then that daycare is able to open in your town. This is boxing, War Room. This is our town. And that daycare center is able to open there, and then you find out that they helped put the government together of the town, which is why they got the permit. Brother, y'all killing me with this. I mean, would you send your children to that daycare center? Look, I don't think Terence Bud Crawford is a dirty athlete.
I don't think Terence Bud Crawford is a dirty athlete.
I think he's a special athlete. I think Devin Haney, he doesn't show power. He doesn't show a chin. Caleb Plant, you see him taking L's now, and he looks like a human being. He doesn't look like a Superman, right? I think these fighters are clean. But the thing is, with their association with Victor Conte, it's just a horrible PR move for them. And if you have a special athlete like Terence Bud Crawford and he does something great, you're going to immediately say, it's his association with Victor Conte. And that huge accomplishment is going to be tainted and discredited. And I don't want that from Bud. Bud is dope. Bud is one of the best fighters in the world, and Bud has a huge amount of integrity. The guy is a fantastic natural athlete who has focused on his craft, who didn't do bad things or have bad habits outside of the ring. And I just want, if he were to accomplish something like this come September 13th, I want nothing but praise for Terence Bud Crawford. So we have to get ahead of this. Now, number 2, you guys are asking me, why talk about this, but not fighters who actually popped? And it's very simple. Because for the fighters who popped, I have nothing to talk about. Because that means the system works. You get it? That means if it has been proven that if they do something wrong, they get caught. So the system is working well. Why not talk about those who pop? Because the system is working well. They have been slapped on the hand. They've been suspended. All these things because the system actually work against them. Victor Conte's athletes never pop, and they never will.
Victor, at the same time, did admit he knows how to beat these tests as good as they are.
Is it possible to circumvent? Yeah, it is. But the same people that know how to circumvent, like myself, are the same ones that know how to catch it. Same people that know how to circumvent, like myself, are the same ones that know how to catch it. Like myself.
And I think that could actually be a bigger problem if something suspicious is going on because of his background and because of his association with VADA. And he says himself, he understands the questioning.
How would you respond to those criticisms?
I understand them. I really do. Should people be suspicious of me? Absolutely.
So, in conclusion, my motive is to get ahead of this whole thing, is to maybe motivate Team Crawford, and more than Team Crawford, Victor Conte, to release statements or go public and say, this is what we do. And there is nothing fugazi about it. This is our association. He doesn't come to me for syringes or for any other work or any other involvement. This is what it is. And I think that a fight of this magnitude and a situation of this magnitude deserves some transparency. Come out, say something, because it's just not going to go away. And if you were to say something after the fact, I think it would be too late. All right, now let's talk about Regis Prograis and Jojo Diaz. The fight was extremely close, okay? And I said on X that I think Regis Prograis won the boxing match, but Jojo Diaz won the fight. Regis Prograis, I don't know if he's finished. You know, I every time Jojo Diaz caught him at all, nicked him, he had Bambi legs. Regis Prograis did. And Jojo Diaz isn't known as a big puncher, and he jumped up weight classes, going up weight classes. Regis Prograis just doesn't seem to be that durable anymore. I'm not sure if he ever really was, but last night, he just had Bambi legs all fight. And if you guys want to know how I scored it, it was tough to score the fight, but I tend to score things on who's ass the most. I really don't score boxing based on who scored the most points. It's who won the fight, you know. And I thought clearly Jojo Diaz beat up Regis Prograis more than Regis Prograis beat up Jojo Diaz. Jojo Diaz's face was bloody. He was cut, but that was from headbutts. All right, they kept clashing heads. But as far as who was damaged more and who looked like they were beat up more, I think Regis Prograis looked like he was beat up more. And at first, there was a minute where I was thinking, dude, this is another Meldrick Taylor versus Showbizz, you know? And I was actually starting to worry about Regis Prograis' health, to the point where even now, in the morning after, I'm wondering if Regis Prograis, I mean, I just think, you know, he may be just a finished fighter. But, I mean, who knows? Jojo Diaz looked like he had a second win out there. So you definitely want to see Jojo Diaz again. But let me know how you feel in the comments below. Let me know how you feel about my take on Regis Prograis versus Jojo Diaz. And if you guys can at least understand my concern and why I'm actually for Terence Bud Crawford and I'm for Devin Haney, Caleb Plant, Clarissa Shields. I just think that they're fantastic fighters. And I think instead of being hush-hush, instead of trying to defend Victor Conte, I think the best approach is to bring it all out and to discuss all these things so we can get it all in the open and we could just be done with it. So then if Terence Bud Crawford whips Canelo Alvarez's ass, you guys don't discredit his legacy and don't have all these questions and shit that taints that accomplishment. Let me know how you feel in the comments below. Showbizz for adult. I'm out.